Hello everyone and welcome to Scripting the Editor with Python. We're going to continue this series with the new additions of how to create a blueprint with Python. So I have added a few things since last time. Last time we saw how we can import animations, and now since we have this modular character here that have a lot of different parts as skeletal meshes, we are going to see how we can create a blueprint with each of these assets. First, I did the same custom events in a vertical box. And the way we do that is we go through all the children and then we cast. So it gives us a widget object preference and we cast as checkbox and we check if it's checked or unchecked against the number that we have assigned. It's assigned here, so we have 0, 1, and 2. And then with this, we have a variable that is a called parent class of type actor. And this one is set to pawn, character, or actor. And then we have another variable as a string with the same name. This is the blueprint class, and this is the parent class. Next, what we have here is the combo box. So each one has a selected change, and it gives us the name of what asset we chose. And in this script, so this one is in the event construct, and what we have here is all the combo boxes, and we have the script. We're gonna take a look at the script real quick. So the idea is it's going to check for the assets inside the folder, and then it's going to create lists of each different assets, whether it's a body, legs, or feet. And then it's going to use the add option in order to add the names of the assets accordingly. So if we go see here, for example, in my combo boxes, I have here the worker, the SWAT, the suit, the spacesuit, and all of them are in the head. So this is how we can do to work with our assets. This is for the how to fill the combo box. And then we get the name from the combo box. And with the check boxes, we can set up our variables, and then we get the check boxes and then check if it's checked or if it's not. So if it's not checked, if nothing is checked, we get a warning. But first here, there is no blueprint class selected. So that's just an error handling. And next, so we can move on to the important part, which is the script to create the blueprint. First, so the script is going to need a few input variables. We have 7 input variables, so I'm going to come here and add 7 input pins. So the first one is going to be head, body, legs, feet, accessories. This one is going to be the parent class. This one's going to be the BP class. Different. Once we have our variables, we can just come here and bring each one of them. Okay, so now that we have our input variables, we can come here and I have the make blueprint script. And for this one, we are going to need a few things like the K2 find subobject data handlers and the subobject data handle. So these ones are for the blueprints. As you can see here, we have also the add new subobject parameters. And this one has the blueprint context, the new class, the parent handle. So these are the classes that we are going to use. Also, we have the blueprint class. So first, I will need to get the folder paths. Next, I'm going to create a helper function to build asset name based on selected character parts. So we need to construct the skeletal mesh name using the selected character and the part name, for example, like head, body. So now I need a function to find the skeletal mesh path for given character parts. For example, I have the variable called head, and it's going to take as input, let's say, farmer. If it gets farmer, it's going to have to look for the skeletal mesh that is farmer underscore head. Okay, so let's write the function. Now we create a dictionary mapping part names to selected characters. And now we are going to look through the selected characters and see how we can check each main body part. Now we construct the full path to the asset in the skeletal mesh folder. And then we are going to check if the skeletal mesh exists and add the constructed path. Then we are going to work with the exception of the accessories. So if it exists or not. First, we are going to check and ensure if the accessories list, the accessories is a list, even if a single accessory name is passed, because we don't have the same number of assets as the other main body parts. Okay, so now we have the dictionary that contains all the mesh paths, the selected mesh path in the combo boxes. Next, we're going to need a function. Before creating the blueprint, we're going to need a function that checks if the blueprint exists, and if it exists, it should have a name and convention, because, for example, if you select a character and then you select another one, it's going to detect that it has the same name. So we need some kind of counter to increment the number of characters based on the class name. So once we have set the pattern and the maximum number is 0, so this is the variable to store the highest number found, we can check each existing blueprint for the naming pattern. So it extracts the number from the match, and then we just update max number if a higher number is found. Then we return the new blueprint name. Okay, now that we have finished the first steps, so we have our functions, we can start actually creating the blueprint. So we are going to create a function to create the blueprint. Okay, first we are going to need the asset tools and the factory. So as we saw with the materials before and other meshes, we need a factory to build assets, to create assets in Unreal with Python. Okay, so first thing in the factory, so it has an editor property, and this is the parent class. So basically, this editor property is what's written in the top right corner of the blueprint, and that's the parent class. Then we're going to set the blueprint name. We're going to call our function. So this is that takes the blueprint class as base for the name. Then we're going to create the blueprint path. Then we are going to call the asset tools and create the asset based on all the variables that we have defined. Okay, so next we are going to need to initialize the subsystem. But before that, we have to check here in the documentation. So here we're going to use the Unreal Get Engine subsystem, and this one it takes the subsystem engine subsystem type var. So returns requested engine subsystem. And by that, we are going to use we are going to use this one, so the subobject data subsystem, in order to, as a parameter for our engine subsystem. And by that, we are going to get to the K tool. So here we have our, and now we can access find the subobject data. So here we use the K2 find subobject data handle, and this one, it returns the subobject to 0. So this one is to get the root of the blueprint, and then we can move to adding each mesh to the blueprint. So now we are going to use the sub handle to attach the new skeletal mesh component in the blueprint. Okay, so now we are going to use the subobject data subsystem and add new subobject. So this one adds a new subobject as a child to a given parent. And the parameter is add new subobject parameter. If we go here, we can see that we have the blueprint context, the conform transfer to parent, new class, parent handle, and so on. And as we can see here, add new subobject parameters, look for it. And then we have all of these options that we can. So first we need the parent handle. And this one is going to be our root data handle. And then we have the new class. And this one is the Unreal.Skeletal Mesh component, since we are adding to the blueprint, so we need to use the component. And then the blueprint context. And this one is the blueprint. Now that we have created the subobject, what we need to do is to rename it to the actual name that we have. Then we add the data. Then we have to get the actual object from the data. And then we have to assign the actual skeletal mesh inside of the editor property. So set editor property. And this one is called skeletal mesh asset. And we're going to give it the skeletal mesh. And finally, we return the blueprint. Okay, so next what we have to do is actually to get the mesh paths. And then finally we get the blueprint. Okay, so now that we have finished the functions and the script, we created this. We can go ahead and just copy this and go to our vacant blueprint. And just delete this for now. And then we can paste it here. And then I can just come here and select some random assets. Pistol. Select our, for example, I'm going to say character and press. Okay, so now that we have our blueprint created here, we have a new folder, and inside of it, we have our character. And as we can see here, we have our pistol, which is the accessory. Then we have the feet, the body, the legs, and the head. So maybe in the list, when creating the list in Python, we can adjust that just reversing the list. So it comes from top to bottom, like head, body, legs, and feet, to organize that. This is the editor property that we set before, and it's the parent class. And this one, as we can see here, the skeletal mesh asset. If I copy internal name, go back to the here and just paste it. As you can see, this is the internal name of the editor property. So that's the way you can find some the internal names if you want to change some editor properties. And of course, I have set up so I can just change these as much as I want, and I can just have another one. So the other function that allows us to find the number and then add another one. So now we can have as many blueprints as we want. We can change this to pawn, and we can play around with everything that we have here. Let's press, and then I can see here. So the parent class is pawn, and this is a different blueprint with everything set up nicely. And we can actually select actor as well, and then go to farmer, maybe sword, king, that and just create. So this is the actor. As we can see, everything is set up nicely and it works. Okay, next we are going to see how we can assign animations and look into how we can actually create control rigs and automate some options for control rigs in following this tutorial. Thank you for watching.